Oh, sweet. It looks like it's working. Right, so let's see if this is working dead quick. Looks like it. Hello everyone. We are back for the second half of the season. We have a little 2-week break in ACC. But yeah, there was still some action last week. There was a Porsche Cup race, or a few of them, and there were some new drivers that we'll go through in a little bit. We're at Oulton Park today, so the first time we've ever been in Oulton Park in comms anyway, in ALR. So it's basically a British track, English track, in between sort of Liverpool and Stoke in the northwest of the country. Quite a similar feel to Brands Hatch, I think. Lots of grass and gravel around a lot of tight and twisty corners, medium speed corners as well. So should be a good one. Give me just a quick second to bring the stream up. There we go. It's going to be tricky. Yes, I think there's going to be a lot of incidents in the first few laps. There's not a lot of space for 30-odd cars. How many do we have in the lobby at the moment? Yeah, we're up to 29 drivers so far for tonight. We've got a couple of minutes before qualifying starts. But yeah, let's have a quick run through who's been quick. So we got Peter up in first place and Scanlon, the two miles ahead of everyone else. 6/10 separate them, and the next few people, Morrow, Pole with a pretty decent qualifying practice lap so far, and Weston Friedman is the man who I think was the best in the Porsches. So that is going to be an interesting one, as we see him go around Knickerbrook just there. That's my favourite corner on the track. Stupid name. So yeah, he could potentially be in the hunt for a win or podiums. A slightly different format in this racing than last week though, so we'll have to see. Coldman's another one making his debut, up in 9th place at the moment, so a pretty good lap that he's set. So could be on for a fairly decent result. Obviously tier 1 driver, esports champion as well, Coldman, also known as Slim on the server, Arek's driver. So yeah, we'll be interested to see how quickly he can get up to speed in his first ACC race. He'll have to do a little bit better than that. Cabras is another one. A Cabras this is, so this is the younger brother. F Cabras is the older one, who we've seen a lot more of in ALR. So yeah, I think he's got a bit of a pace deficit on the game to try and find, and also a corner there. We'll be searching for a while for that corner, it looks like. Anyone else who's new? Archer, I think, is new. Don't know much about him, but he's in the Ford Mustang tonight. And I think everyone else has been around the block a few times in ALR. So let's just watch Friedman. He's already improved up to 3rd place, so only 4/10 off Peter's best practice time. So yeah, could be a contender today. We haven't got the man who won the last 3 races and the guy who's leading the overall standings tonight, Rojnov. He couldn't make it. So it's a real big opportunity for one of the other guys to get a race win. Just a reminder, Peter is the only man who has a race win this season. The man who's top of practice at the moment as well. As we're just waiting for everyone to finish the laps, looks like this car, Friedman, is the last one who's going to be finishing his lap, and then we'll reset for qualifying. So yeah, let's see if he can improve on this. 4/10 down at the moment. He goes into the pits anyway. Doesn't matter. Right, quali is up on now, so yeah, some of these guys are going to go straight out on track. Looks like Scanlon might have been the first one out, so let's ride on with him. Yep, definitely is the first one out on track. One of the favourites for qualifying. Let's do some quali predictions. Peter was fastest, wasn't he? Peter, but I'm going to stick with the man who's been performing incredibly well all season, Peter, for quali. But yeah, Scanlon, I think, could be top 3 as well. And yeah, our new boy as well in the Porsche. He's a bit further down on the truck grid. He's probably had to reset his settings before he can go out because he only just finished his lap, and then these guys are instantly on track for qualifying. Yes, I'll be trying to catch some action with Slim, definitely. Hopefully he's in the mix and doesn't just fall to the back, have to pit at the start, because those could be lonely races, especially if it's your very first ACC one, but I think it happens to more people than it doesn't. So we're going through the latter half of the lap. We're approaching Druid's Corner, which is a famous corner. You might have heard of Druid's Corner if you'd heard of any of these. And then we're on to this last little straight, potential for some overtaking if they get Druid's Corner wrong, into Lodge Corner. And looks like there's a car that's pretty close to the back of Scanlon as we start our laps. No, it looks like he backed off just in time. Scanlon takes a very wide exit as he starts the lap, heading down into turn 1. A lot of these are quite long corners, so the apexes usually tend to be towards the end of the apex rather than in the middle because of that. So you'll have noticed that at turn 1. And now we're on to another little straight as we approach Shell Oil's Corner. Very, very strange name for this corner that we're going to come up to. It's actually just a hairpin, so we might just stick to that, the hairpin. He's coming up to a little bit of traffic. Actually, he's getting caught by the car behind as well on this lap. So that Mustang behind him is having a very good lap. Not entirely sure who that is. We'll see shortly as we've, well, actually, we've still got half the lap to go. So we're on to Hilltop now, approaching his lops, and then the best corner on the track, Knickerbrook. Expect to see some incidents at Knickerbrook. And yeah, that Mustang's getting very close now in qualifying. So yeah, Scanlon's not going to have the lead in qualifying after this first lap. Bit of a catch-22 for this Mustang. I think it's Weatherston actually. Is he in the Mustang now? No, he's still in the Honda. So, rounding Lodge Corner for the final time. Doesn't go as wide on the exit there, so maybe a mistake approaching his first lap. Let's see what kind of lap time this is. We're looking for, well, 33s really, and it was Peter who was behind him, a 33.8 compared to a 34.4 for Scanlon. So, a lot of work there. Capel 2.5 seconds off as he finishes his first lap as well. Let's just see where some other people have come out. I was trying to see anyone who is approaching the start-finish line. Morrow pops up into second anyway. He's half a second off the pace of Peter. And Weatherston has just beaten him by 0.02 of a second. So pretty decent lap for Weatherston in his Honda up into P2. Expected those two probably to be battling all race, to be honest. Coldman, he is just starting his lap. Let's watch him because he is new to ACC. Let's give him a bit of screen time. Let's see how he tackles these corners. Looked a little bit wide around the Cascades there. Can impact your speed all the way down to the hairpin as well. Yeah, not under any pressure though. O'Leary setting a pretty slow time there, 4.2 off the pace. And it's as you'd expect with the Cabras brothers, with F. Cabras, over a second quicker than his brother. Capel's last. Right, here we go. We've got a couple of corners left. We are approaching his lots, which is a tight little chicane, and then we are just after that going to head on to Knickerbrook. Lovely. And then we're going up Clay Hill. Then we've got two more corners, really difficult corners. This is one which is going to have a wide entry into the apex, I think, right here. Yeah, you see, he was trying to kiss the apex just before sweeping to the exit. Was a little bit wide, but still pretty decent. We're looking for a time in the 34s really for Coleman. He set a 35 flat in practice, so that's his target anyway. And he crosses the line to go. Oh, it was an invalid lap. He doesn't set a lap time after all that. Oh man, that was a waste of time, wasn't it? Okay, let's see who else hasn't set a lap. Andy Winter's out on track. Let's watch Andy Winters. He's had a bit of an up and down season. Some really solid performances, and then some tracks he doesn't quite get to grips with the same. Excuse me. Let's go back on with him. So be looking for a solid top 10 qualifying at least, but he's probably capable of the top 5 with who we've got at the moment. The top 5 separate by about half a second at the moment. Peter's still the quickest, just ahead of Friedman and Weston, all within a tenth of a second. Now, the two last tricky corners on the track, that one's a real tight cambered corner. So I think we might be seeing one or two drivers go flying off there if they carry too much speed in. Last corner seems a little bit more straightforward, but it seems really easy to go wide on the exit if you get on the power too quickly. Anyway, what is this time going to be for Andy Winters? Here's the checkered flag. And where's he gone? He's got up into 10th, 1.2 seconds off of Friedman, who is now the quickest on the track. So let's join Peter as he's just started a lap. He's just about to finish the first sector now. He's now a 10th down on Friedman, our ALR debutant tonight in the Porsche. So proving that Porsche is pretty solid. We've seen some chat in Discord about it being quite an unstable car. So yeah, it could potentially get a bit tricky for him at the end of these stints in the race coming up when it loses a bit of grip. But anyway, Peter has just started going back up the hill to approach Knickerbrook. I'm never going to stop saying that. Every chance I get. Anyway, starting to catch the car in front as well. It looks like it might be Scanlon's car, I'm not too sure. Looked like an Aston Martin green, didn't it? So he has, yeah, it will be. They've just stayed out on track this entire time, setting lap after lap, these two. So Peter must have backed off a little bit to give Bomber some space, and now he's starting to catch up to him a little bit again. Maybe he's in slipstream range, maybe very slightly. It looks like he's backed out completely. He'll have to start getting going again soon because he's got a driver, that's Andy Winters, about to come up and complete another lap. So let's stick with Andy really wide into the entry of the final corner. He's going to try and improve on 11th, 1.2 seconds off as it stands. And he moves up to 8th, 1.1 now. So that was a good little improvement there. Fitinho, by the way, bronze driver, up in 7th. This is a shock. I don't think I've ever seen Fitz this high up. This is a really solid qualifying for him. Below the 35s. So, yeah, he's doing pretty well in bronze in the championship. So this is exactly what he needs. 10 places ahead of Danders, the nearest bronze driver on the grid. And yeah, Cabras is once again at the top of silver. He's starting to string some good consistency up in qualifying now to start to head off these drivers. Fitterer in second. He said he's done absolutely no practice around here, which I think might be revealed to be a bit of a mistake. It seems like one of those tracks you really have to take the time to learn. With the way that some of these corners are profiled, it's not an easy break turn kind of situation for any of them. But yeah, he's doing pretty well still. He's 0.6 off of Cabras, and we got Scanlon out on track. He's in third at the moment, so he's doing pretty well. And Weston, so the top four separate by less than 0.2 of a second. Then there's a bit of a gap tomorrow. So let's stick with Weston, see if he can improve on his time. He's just got 2 corners to go. He's racing in the McLaren, number 82 driver. He's had some strong results, and again, a bit like Andy actually, some tracks he's really up there with the podium boys, and then sometimes he's struggling and having to battle his way past some of the silver drivers. Anyway, looked like a tidy final corner, little twitch on the exit, and it is going to not be an improvement, so he stays, actually, his We've missed an insane lap from Peter here, actually. We've got 5 minutes left. He's just set 33.2. That's now 5/10 of a second quicker than Friedman. He's absolutely on fire. He's got plenty of space in front of him until he gets to the next car. So he could potentially improve on this one as well. So let's stick with him, because that was an insane lap. That is massively impressive. What do you think? Who's got the best chance of winning out when Rozhnov isn't here? You've got to say Peter, Weatherston, who's down in 7th, are the two to go with, based on recent form, certainly. But yeah, Peter absolutely out demolishing qualifying at the moment. We've got to find half a second for Friedman. Not sure if this will be enough on this lap to beat his previous time. He might be getting some slipstream from that purple car in front. I think that is where this... Oh, he's gone back to the pits. Never mind. Let's join Friedman then. He has half a second to find now. He's approaching Lodge corner, final corner on the track. How wide is he going to take it on the exit? Pretty perfect exit there, it's got to be said. That's exactly how you want to be taking that corner. And he crosses the finish line and still doesn't improve. So he's going on another lap here. Got 3 minutes left. Let's stick with him. Very wide into turn 1. I'm not entirely sure where the track limits lie with... these corners, because they will just invalidate you in qualifying if you go too wide. So we'll have to see if that penalises him. He's still absolutely going for it at the moment, so I don't think he'll have invalidated. So let's see how he gets on. He's approaching this car very quickly. I hope that's not putting him off. And he's out the way. Oh, he goes onto the grass a little bit. I have a feeling this might not be a quicker lap, but let's stick with it until the end. Right, up the hill. This is the tricky one, Druid's Corner, that I was talking about. Very important. I bet this is one of those corners where you could gain half a second on people if they take it slightly wrong. Yeah, it's like threading the needle because it's such a long one. It feels like 2 corners, actually. Now we're into Lodge Corner, the one where you can take it pretty wide as you can get away with it, but still be on the rumble strips, which is exactly what Freeman's done for a second lap in a row. Now, is this going to be an improvement? He's got half a second to find, and he hasn't improved. Let's see what Scanlon can do. He's nearing the start-finish line as well. Stays 6/10 down. Weatherston is the next one. He's 1.1 seconds down. That's quite a big gap for Weatherston in qualifying, and he still doesn't improve. Let's stick with him. He is our 2-time reigning champion. Not having as good of a season in the Honda so far. But really being up there, ready to, and he really starts well as well. And we've seen in qualifying a few times him being pretty low down, even lower than this, and then on his very last lap he pops into the top 3 out of seemingly nowhere. Maybe he just needs a few laps to gear up, and if that's the case, this will be excuse me, a big improvement. If he finds 6/10, he's up to second. Morrow actually improves in the meantime, up into third, so he's ahead of Scanlon now, but still quite a long way off of Peter. It feels like there's a good chance for a lot of drivers to fit into that gap between Peter and Friedman in the rest of qualifying if they find small improvements. Right, Weatherston's backed out as well. And he's come to a complete stop off track, and he's reset to the pits, so I'm not sure that might be qualifying over for Weatherston. Let's join Friedman again. He's just approaching the final corner now. This will be his next lap that we literally just watched after. So again, he is in the high 33s. He needs to be in the low 33s. He has improved massively, but he's still almost 0.3 of a second. That's a 33.6 that he's set. So still a lot of time to find, and he's gone a little bit wobbly there on the exit of turn 1. So that might be his chances over. Let's see what Morrow can do. He's in a little bit of traffic now. He's our man who's in P3 at the moment. His previous lap was enough to put him there. Actually, he's been demoted to P4 because Weston has just popped up himself up into P3. Just like we were saying, he can be up here with the podium boys. Right, final corner now. Very important for Morrow. This is potentially his last chance. He's got 8 seconds to try and get an extra lap in. I don't think it's going to be enough. And the checkered flag's out. Morrow, it does improve, but it's still not enough to improve on third. It might place, so he gets past Weston, but it might not be enough to stick with some of these. Scanlon's completely lost it on his final lap. Let's see what Friedman can do. Or Peter's actually off as well, so it looks like Friedman is the last of our top runners to set a lap time. Oh, it looks like he was going a little bit sideways into the second part of Druid's corner. Right, this is his chance. Let's see what he can do. He bails out into the pits. That is P2 for Friedman. And then there is one more car who's right at the back that I wanted to watch, but I can't find... Oh, it's Morrow. Morrow looks like he did actually get a lap in right at the death there. So he's going to be overtaking that car who bails out of the track to get out of his way. I think that will have been fine for track limits. This is going to be the last man to set a time by the looks of things. So we'll just keep an eye on who is going to be hitting that checkered flag. It looks like Weston might still be on a lap as well. No one seems to be improving. Steenstra's gone up into 5th though, so really decent lap in the end for Steenstra, who I don't think I've seen in the top 10 for qualifying. Morrow is the final one that we're going to see, and he bails into the pits as well. So it is Peter from our debutant Friedman, and then Morrow, Weston, Steenstra, Scanlon, Pole, Weatherston, Coldman on his debut in the top 10. Great qualifying for him. And Fitzinho, the random bronze driver, out qualifying all the silver drivers and a lot of gold drivers as well to get... 10th place, 6 places up on Van Hall, who's down in 16th. That's a good qualifying for him as well. That might be his best one. So I think you can tell who's been putting in the graft with practicing for this track and who maybe have come into tonight a little bit unprepared and qualified badly. Wouldn't expect to see Oliver and Capale. Spectre 2.5 seconds off as well. Andy Winters outside the top 10 in the end. Quite a big gap. Only the top 7 separated by less than a second. Right. So we're just waiting at this moment for everybody to get their race settings all loaded up, and we're going to be going out onto track fairly soon, I think, even though one of the drivers... out there we are. Omoda was going out. I didn't know what was happening, but that's probably just normal. So we've got, like I said, they've got 2 minutes to sort out their settings and enter into the race. If they don't enter into the race, they get reset to the pits and have to start at the back with cold tyres and all that rubbish stuff. They have to fight their way through. Sometimes that's a blessing in disguise. You miss loads of accidents, which I'm quite worried that this is going to be an incident-packed lap 1. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to keep track of the action with 30 of these guys all going around. A really small and not... yeah, I mean, overtaking is going to be pretty hard here unless people make mistakes, but this is the kind of track that I think there will be a lot of driver errors into corners. That's going to open the door for some of this, these overtaking maneuvers to happen. So predictions for the race. Fitzinho in 9th. Someone's disappeared, maybe? Someone left? I don't know. I'm sure Fitz was 10th though, just a minute ago. And Winters was 11th, that's for sure, because I was commenting on it. So, yeah, who's my pick for the win? It's one of these two, isn't it? By the looks of things. Peter and Friedman. I'm going to give it to experience. Peter's been here and knows how to win a race in ALR. So, you got to back your boy, don't you? Friedman has to earn his predictions in the future of wins, I think. Then it's going to be really tight between the silver boys, Cabras and Fitcherer. So not a bad qualifying for Fitterer, considering he said he didn't do any practice for this. Van Hall second for bronze class, and Dander's third for bronze. O'Leary third for behind all three of the top bronze guys. Here we go. Formation lap is starting. Let's go down towards the end of the grid and see who might be a bit disappointing with the qualifying. We've got Archer in 25th. He's making his debut as well. Kane last. He's not usually last. That's a surprise. Alex, really good qualifying for Alex. I think potentially her best one in ALR. So yeah, who am I expecting to see make their way up the grid? It's like Cabras is, oh no, he's a reserve, that's why he's showing his gold. So the worst gold driver is 19th place Spectre. And we've got Capale. Oliver's not usually this low down. Omada, we know, loves to go long in races and pit way later than everybody else. And it works quite out well for him quite often. So we'll have to see if he does that strategy again today. Still got half the lap to go, actually. I went through the whole grid. It was still got half the lap to go. Let's see. What do we think Coleman's going to do today? In 8th place for starting, anyway. That's, I think it might be a little bit difficult for him to hold on to that. I think if he could finish in the top 10, or even the top 15, I think he could mark that down to being a very successful opening race. There is so much different in ACC compared to GT, and how cars behave and how they get worse over time, all that kind of stuff, and obviously the incidents as well. If you're not used to the game, you are slightly more likely to make mistakes, maybe cause some damage to the car, which puts you outside the top 20 instantly, doesn't it? So it's going to be a question of who can keep their nose clean in these opening corners and then maintain position without making any major mistakes afterwards. That is probably what the story of the race is going to turn out to be. These two are going to give us a good fight, though. Peter versus Friedman. Friedman's debut in ALR after doing incredibly well in an off-season, well, mid-season event, I suppose. Couldn't be fastest in qualifying, but has to slow down a bit because he actually overtook Peter there. He's got a great chance of getting Peter into turn 1. He's going to have the outside line. Peter's got the inside line. We are heading to the final corner now, Lodge Corner. Then we're going to go down the Deer Leap and start our lap. The starting line is quite low down the lap, so I'm not sure. Oh, someone has got a stop-go penalty. That's unfortunate. You race over basically before it begins. But anyway, we are focusing on the top guys. Let's see what can happen. Friedman has to try and get him around the outside into turn 1. Another drive-through penalty for another driver. But we're going. It looks like Friedman's actually got ahead going into the corner. Peter hugs the inside of the corner. Looks like he's got it. Friedman round the outside, and he's having to tuck in behind Peter now. So it looks like he's lost that battle for now, at least. And then they've already started creating a bit of a gap to Morrow. Unfortunately, we've got some rubbish camera angles here. There's Morrow just ahead of Coldman. I'm pretty sure that was Coldman in 4th. We have to wait and see what happens. Unfortunately, it's Alex, and I think that was who was that who's got the drive-through? Mara as well. So unfortunate for them. Actually, Coldman looks like he's settled down into 14th place. Well, he's dropped anyway. He was 8th. He might get... There, he's dropped down to 11th, so he's dropped behind Fitzinho, he's dropped behind Cabras. Great start for Andy Winters, up in 8th place as everyone starts to approach the Knickerbrook corner. So we're just going around his laps. There's been a huge crash there, Scanlon off the track. We've got a tyre barrier in the middle of the track. He gets punted out of the way by one of those cars. It's all chaos here. Andy Winters' car looks a little bit battered at the moment. He's losing loads of positions here, battling with Pole, it looks like. 4th position around the outside there. Right. I'm losing my voice. Right, meanwhile at the front we are rounding the final corner. We're going to see where everyone is coming. So the top 5 all together. Steenstra at the bottom of that top 5. Scanlon, after his little mistake, he's still in 6th place. Fitzinho all the way up into 7th. This is an insane start for Fitzinho. He's getting put under loads of pressure from Andy Winters, who wants that position. It looks like he's going to be brave under braking into Old Hall corner. Looks like Fitzinho wins out with that and gets a good exit as well. So he's going to hold Andy Winters off for now. But this is going to be a lot of pressure that he comes up under in the next few laps, and he's wide into the corner. That allows Andy Winters through, and up Lakeside is going to get challenged as well by Cabras, it looks like, in as we go up the hill. It's about 3 cars side by side here. It's like Coldman's in the mix as well. Off track a little bit again for Fitzinho. Everyone really close together. So Capel and a Ferrari having a little bit of contact as well there on the exit of that corner. Andy at the head of this little battle, and he's got well, Fitzinho dropping back now. So this is, you hate to see it. We'll see him drop down from 8th when this next sector line hits, just after Knickerbrook where we are now. So let's see how badly this lap's gone for Fitzinho. Remember, he started 7th. He's now down in 11th. He's got Omoda chasing him down now, and he's dropped over a second off of the battle between everyone else, with Andy Winters at the head of it. Cabras really challenging him for the position now. Cabras really showing great form over these last few weeks. Coincidentally, at the same time his brother started racing, so I wonder if the competitive spirit has come out in the Cabras household. But yeah, Andy still ahead at the moment, but I think that damage must be hindering him because he's already 4 seconds basically behind Scanlon. At the front, let's have a quick look. Friedman's got the fastest lap now. He is 0.6 of a second off of Peter at the moment, so he's still sticking it in there. It's not over in this battle for the lead, but it's looking okay for now for Peter. Morrow dropping a little bit off, and Weston really in the hunt at the moment for a podium. Steenstra starting to drop off the back of them, and Scanlon is starting to reel in Steenstra slowly. Then we've got quite a big gap to Andy, who seems to have dropped Cabras a little bit, so a better first sector for Andy this time round. Then we've got Coldman and Paul pretty close. Then we've got Fitzinho. He's still in 11th place, still holding off Omoda. So this is going to be affecting Omoda's race. We've seen this happen before. He starts outside the top 10 and gets stuck behind a driver who's a little bit slower. It looks like Fitzinho's got plenty of damage as well as we go through Britain's chicane now. Oh, really bad there from Omoda. He might be under a little bit of pressure now. I don't think that was Omoda actually. Oh yeah, it is, because he's dropped a couple of positions. We'll see when he goes through the next split. He'll drop down from 12th down to 15th, 14th. Yeah, not great from Omoda there, because he went, he basically kind of cut the chicane a little bit. So that's going to punish him. We've got the top guys. Friedman's made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped 2.2 off of Peter, and now there's a huge train forming behind him with Morrow, Weston and Steenstra also queuing up. So it must have been a bit of an unforced error from Friedman. Maybe he was pushing a little bit too hard, and maybe he got into the dirty air of Peter at the front. But this is all of a sudden looking quite comfortable for Peter. He's got a bit of breathing space to start pounding the laps in. Friedman's going to have to start the work all over again to break out of this group. He's already, looks like he's starting to do that a little bit, to be honest. Yeah, he's not actually breaking away. So Morrow's doing pretty well here to keep him honest. And if he can keep doing this for another, well, I guess, 25 or so minutes, he will have a good chance in the pit lane. Unless Friedman makes another, well, has another problem that causes him to lose a couple of seconds. Let's have a little look down the field. Let's see who's been in the wars. Tierney's already made his pit stop. He's got a long way to go for the rest of this race on this set of tyres. They're going to start degrading towards the end. Alex, unfortunately, is dropped back to 28th. Maurer, we saw get a penalty. Down into 26th as well. He had a drive-through, as did Alex. And then we've got Skippers, a good chunk up These are all outside the top 20. Then we got Archer not having a great debut outside the top 20 as well, and then Major and Van Hall, and then Fitzinho down to 21st. This is gone catastrophically for Fitzinho. He was up in 7th at the end of lap 1. We're only on lap, I think, 4, and well, this is lap 5 that we're just about to complete, and yeah, Fitzinho just dropping like a stone. You can see his car he's getting caught by Fitra. Fitra's been in the walls as well. Down in 19th. Yeah, you can see his car's really battered. Both cars really battered and bruised. Missed some of the action a little bit further back when we were following the action at the front. Oh, his bonnet looks like it's about to pop. And oh no, I thought he was going off track there, but that's just the way the track goes. Chaos doing pretty well, up in 14th place. Looks like he is comfortably ahead of Spectre, and then Oliver and Kane looked like they were having a little battle, which I hope that we can find. Yeah, Fitzinho just off the back of this little battle, which looks like it's shaping up pretty nicely. O'Leary at the head of this snake, just ahead of Dander, so he's worked his way up to 11th, so pretty good start for O'Leary. Omoda up into 10th as well, so he's not doing too bad. Capel, really solid start in the top 10. So the Capel versus Slim battle, well, we got Capel up in 9th. And where is Slim, actually? I'm looking for a Coldman. He's down in 22nd at the moment. So he has a lot of work to do for the rest of the race. His car looks in pretty good condition, though. But like I said, it's just about hitting those consistent laps. They don't even necessarily need to be fast. You will make up positions as the race wears on, so we could still get that top 15 we were saying would be a great result for him, but he needs to keep his nose clean for the rest of the race. Capel, meanwhile, has Cabras in his sights 11 seconds up the road. So it's taken 11 seconds out of Capel getting through the field. Let's see if he can close the gap when we go through the next sector, if he's actually quicker than Cabras. He's got plenty of time to catch up to the top 8 if he... Ooh, a little bit twitchy on the exit there, but no big dramas for him. He's actually lost quite a bit of time in that first sector, so it looks like Cabras has the pace on him at the moment. Some gaps starting to form apart from the gap between P2 and P3. Less than a tenth separate these two, but they've started to drop Weston and Steenstra now. Scanlon's still slowly catching up to Steenstra as well, so has a good opportunity for a top 5 with that kind of pace. Yeah, 2.6 the gap between Friedman and Peter. So since that mistake, they've been lapping pretty similarly. So yeah, it might be a question of who makes the fewest mistakes actually ends up winning the race, because the pace looks pretty identical. And Morrow obviously there as well. He seems to be improving as the race goes on. Still second behind Friedman at the moment. Something's happened to Steenstra. Steenstra's dropped a position. He must have made a mistake somewhere, because he had a fairly decent position on Scanlon, like almost 2 seconds, and now he's dropped behind him. So that's good news for Scanlon, one less driver to worry about. I have to assume that was an error. I can't imagine Scanlon caught up to him and didn't overtake that quickly. It was only the space of a sector or so. 0.3 of a second separate them though, so Steenstra might have the bit between his teeth wanting to get that position back and not let Scanlon scarper away. Question now will be, is Scanlon actually any quicker than Weston? If he manages to keep Steenstra behind and not have to worry about him. The gap currently 2.3 seconds between Weston in P4 and Scanlon in P5. McLaren versus Aston Martin at a British circuit, very appropriate. Oh, there was a car in front who absolutely cut that corner. I think that might have been Weston potentially. Let's stick with Weston as he goes through this. Yeah, the gap's down to 1.6, so yeah, he definitely cut Hislop's chicane there, and has paid the price in his lap time. He might have some dirty tyres now. We'll have to see how this impacts him. Can Scanlon continue closing the gap now? He might have P4 on his sights. He's starting to drop Steenstra as well. The gap was 0.7 back to him. It's like a car in front went really wide as well. Oh, there's a car who's basically just parked on the racing line. You'd hate to see it. Looks like everyone managed to avoid him though. Scanlon's closed the gap now to 1.1 seconds. So Scanlon absolutely on fire at this stage. Friedman also dropping Morrow a little bit in the race for second. So yeah, Scanlon, everyone was saying Scanlon's got, well, I was being told to put my prediction on Scanlon to win the race, but yeah, podium's definitely not out of the question. Weston's now 4 seconds back off of Morrow, but only 7/10 ahead of Scanlon. Definitely the slowest driver at the moment in the top 6 is Weston, so potentially starting to struggle on his tyres a little bit. We are 12 minutes into the race, so he's going to have a lot longer to go on these tyres if that is the case. You have to obviously keep the tyres in the right temperature, operating temperature, to extract the most pace from them, and that can be a bit difficult to do. We saw him in the wars at this very corner, which he manages to take pretty decently now, but Scanlon, you can see, is getting ever closer. Hello, Otto. Yes, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. We're pretty close to 1,000 subscribers right now, so it'd be pretty cool if we could get to 1,000. Anyway, the gap between Weston and Scanlon, he managed to extend it to 8/10, but that does not look like 8/10 to me. They're approaching a lapped car as well. Down to half a second. Now it's going to start getting a bit tricky for Scanlon, because yeah, it's going to come into play a little bit. Weston has seemed to regain his composure on this lap as well. Maybe the lapped cars might come into play as well. We'll have to wait and see. How's Peter doing? Peter's made a mistake somewhere, because his lead has dropped to 1.2. Actually, I don't think he's made a mistake. I think he's just been slower coming through that little pack of lapped cars that we've just gone past, and that's allowed Friedman to close up by over a second. That's pretty massive. Morrow has been held up in that little thing as well. Now we've got Weston approaching a lapped car, with Scanlon just 2/10 behind him at the moment. So let's see, where is this lapped car going to get out of the way for these guys? Hopefully it doesn't slot in between these two, because they are a little bit too close together. The driver in 24th place, that is Alex. Wow, 7 to drive through and still in 24th is pretty decent, actually. And Alex is doing quite well, but now she has well and truly been caught. She does dive out of the way. Now we're going to see how close Scanlon can get. He's not actually that close this time around. 6/10 of a second back, so he's actually lost time despite Alex not getting in his way at all. So it's still benefited Weston. He's dropped 4/10 on Morrow that lap though, so that's where how much they've both lost essentially. And now they've got some clear air again. See any other battles. Andy Winters with his that looks even worse than last time, to be honest, but he's still in 7th place. He is just 2/10 of a second ahead of Cabras. And yeah, Cabras' car looks in much better nick than Andy's, so he should have a little bit more pace at the moment. Andy's dropped off the top 6 pace by quite a long way. Should do a Slim cam. So Slim is currently 15th place. He's 10 seconds off the back of 14th. He's ahead of Spectre, who's a gold driver, and then Kane, who started last, worked his way up to 17th. So really good start to the race by Kane Longworth there. Pale just holding off Omoda. Omoda's actually going for it now. Omoda is going for it down hilltops, down to the Hislops chicane. He gets fully ahead. I think Pale just completely backed out of it there. Made it easy for Omoda, and Omoda's into the top 9 now. So another good comeback race for Omoda, but he's going to have a huge gap to Cabras. So yeah, this is where his strategy is going to start coming into play. Going along. He's got the gap to do it in, for sure. Cabras can't get close enough into turn 1 to Andy. He loses a little bit of time again. And I think we need to watch this little battle. So Not sure what's happening with Peter at the moment. It looks like he's completely lost his lap time though. Friedman's closed the gap massively. We're on lap 11 now. And yeah, the gap's down to half a second. Remember, it was about 2.6, 2.8 seconds a few laps ago. And Peter's definitely made a mistake somewhere. But yeah, his pace has just started to go off. So are we experiencing some middle stint issues for Peter with his tyre temperatures? They've also got another lapped car to negotiate here. Oh, that is quite the impressive bail out of the way. Ultimate respect for blue flags. bit overkill. You can stay on the track. But yeah, don't blame him. This is a very close battle for the lead, and he'll have seen that on his screen as he was driving. We've got half a second between these two. That's going to reduce to 0.3 of a second heading down into turn 1. Friedman really looking comfortable at the moment, but the question is, will he be able to challenge Peter for a lead? Peter just needs to keep his cool, try not to look in his wing mirrors too much, and just drive his race, and I think that should be enough to stop Friedman being able to get alongside in any of these corners. But it's going to be a tough ask. We've got 42 minutes left on the clock. We've got yellow flags out for someone as well, but they've disappeared. I think someone just reset to pits. See, Andy is the first of the front guys to actually come into the pits. That's very, very early. Oh, someone else is off track. Right, mistakes, well, this is the easiest way of lapping people, I suppose. They just make mistakes on their own. And here's another one, a very broken BMW, kind of in an awkward position. They both make their way past pretty easily. I think that might have impacted Peter a little bit more. The gap's only a quarter of a second now, heading down into Druid's corner. This could be a good opportunity for Friedman. It looks like he's closer than he's been heading into Lodge Corner. If he gets a really solid exit here, using as much of the track as we've seen him do in qualifying, they both get a really good exit, and that might just be enough for Peter to keep him behind for one more lap. 0.3 is still the gap. Well, that's an interesting strategy for Andy. Let's see where he's actually come out. He's not actually hit the first sector marker yet. He's going to drop to, I think, he's 19th. Where is he? 17th place, just ahead of Fracas. So he's come out in some alright air, actually. He's got a lapped car in front of him, a good few seconds up, and he's got 12 seconds to Kane ahead of him. So this might work out pretty well for Andy if he is going for a huge undercut. He's got absolutely no traffic at all. So if that was on purpose, well done. Let's just assume it was on purpose. Give him some credit. And not because it was he got any damage or anything that he needed to fix. No, definitely not. Actually, let's see if he did fix his damage. Yes, it is a brand spanking new car for Andy, so he got fed up. He went for the stop at the earliest possible time, which he thought was 20 minutes in, 1/3 of the race. So 2/3 of the race on one set of tyres is doable under the settings. Something's happened with Fracas. I think he's dropped a good few spots. Oh, I think he got out of the way. He's already been lapped. Everyone down to 17th place is on the lead lap, and then everyone else has been lapped already. And Fracas hasn't even made a pit stop. That's just on pace after 13 laps. Wow. Let's have a check on Silver class. Cabras is leading the race. O'Leary's worked his way up to second. Andy's in the top 10. Massively impressive for O'Leary after, I think it was a bit of a disappointing qualifying for him. Vitra with a little bit of damage. Looks like he's dropping back a little bit. And then in bronze, we got Dandis all on his own in first place. Quite a big lead over Fitzinho. We saw going backwards really quickly. He's still on his opening stint and he's still nursing some damage on that car. It can't be that bad. It seems to be just side pod damage. And then we've got Kane, who worked his way up from last. And now he is 16th as he power slides through the exit of his lots into Knickerbrook. and it's really struggling against this driver who's behind him. I don't think it's for position. Oh, it is actually Archer. It's our other debutant, Archer. He's working his way back up. He's up to 16th now. Putting some pressure on Kane. So it's unclear at the moment what class Archer's in, I suppose. Reserves get their own class. That's why I say that. There's a drive-through penalty for car 95. Car 95. Let's see. Who is car 95? It's Coldman. It's our boy. So basically, you get a certain number of warnings in ACC when you extend track limits, but you can go off track and not gain an advantage. There's a really clever system that ACC uses in terms of like how you perform compared to your normal lap times or your ultimate lap time. And if you gain time by corner cutting, going off track, going too wide, whatever, you get a warning. And once you get enough of those, you get, if your next one will be a drive-through penalty, and that is what Coldman has just earned now. And he's going to, in the next couple of laps, have to serve that drive-through. He is doing incredibly well up to this point, in 14th place. There's the commentator's curse. Incredibly well up until that point that I just said. And now he's off track. But yeah, so that'll drop him maybe outside the top 20. Unfortunate for him. It's not going to count as his actual pit stop, obviously. Something's happened to Friedman in all that. Friedman has a lot of damage on his car and he's dropped down to 3rd place. Now, when we last saw him and Peter, they were pretty close together on track, so we've definitely missed something. I don't know if he went too deep at one corner or if he's got a bit of damage. Let's have a look at Peter's rear bumper. Peter's rear bumper looks absolutely fine. It's just Friedman's car who's damaged, so I have a feeling he made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped 5 seconds now behind Morrow, and with that damage it might impact his chances of catching back up before the end of the race. So the drive-through for Coldman has... Oh, someone's off track. That's a very interesting place to park your car, sir. Who is that? It's Blocker. That was a good guess. And he's reversing. Man, oh, and into the wall. Where's the pits? Where's the pit lane? Have you passed it? Get yourself in the pits, man. 4 laps down. Come on, lad. Oh, he's carried on. He's not got in the pits. You'll have to see it. Just absolutely rear end the barrier. Give yourself some rear bumper damage. Nah, it's fine. I'm going to keep going. So, any other battles going on track? Let's have a quick flick down and see where the action is. Everyone's kind of gapped at the moment. Looks like Coldman has come out right behind Archer. Archer's got a bit of damage himself now. Remember, he was battling with Longworth. He was trying to overtake him. Now he's 3 seconds back. I don't know if he had that damage already. I think he did from recollection. Coldman has just served his drive-through penalty, and these two are the two newest members of ALR ACC, Archer and Coldman, both making the debut today, fighting over the 15th place. Andy Winter's 5 seconds off the back of them. Oh, bit of a dodgy corner there for Coldman on the exit of Druids. He's actually lost that position to the number 27 car. That might be a car lapping him. Yeah, it's Peter actually who ended up lapping him there, so he got nice and out of the way. Playing the game of the lapped, very wide entry to let Peter overtake him. That's gonna potentially, there's been contact with the leader and a lapped car, and it's the guy who made his debut. It kind of looked like, I need to go and watch that replay dead quick actually. Yeah, Peter just goes incredibly deep into turn 1, doing the getting the lapping done, and he actually comes back on track sideways and hits. Hits our poor lads. That means Morrow has an absolutely fantastic chance of winning this race. He's got 2.8 seconds on Peter. I think Peter he has a little bit of damage now. Friedman's in the pit, so he's going for an undercut. He's just chilling, putting in his fuel right now. So we'll have to see where he comes out, and if he comes out in clear air. Then there's a huge gap all the way back to Omoda. Omoda almost definitely playing the long game once again. Looking a bit more cool and calm and collected compared to the start of the race. I think we saw a little mistake from him there at the start. O'Leary still solidly in 10th place. Looks like he's getting chased down now by Friedman, who's about to put a lap on him. So Friedman out of the pits. Actually, he's not about to lap him. They're racing for position. So that's how well O'Leary's been doing. He's up there with the lead driver, but the lead driver just got past. Friedman up into 9th place now, and he's got some time to try and, well, before he catches Capel, and to try and get a massive undercut done on Morrow and Peter. Peter's in the pits as well. Morrow is the one who is extending now. He's got a few seconds to the next car that he has to lap. So absolutely no rush for him to come into the pits. Peter kind of had to come in out of necessity because of that damage, if he decides to do, well, to fix it essentially. And if he does, he might come up behind Friedman. I don't know if Friedman fixed his damage. Let's have a quick look at Friedman's car. And we'll stick with him and see where he comes out in relation to Peter. Yeah, he has fixed his damage, so it's going to be a question of how quick could the mechanics fix the damage on both of these cars as well. Peter surely is going to fix his damage as well. I don't think when you've got the best pace on the track for today, it's like another driver cleared the drive-through. Oh no! Slim, Coldman, a second drive-through penalty for him. He's not going to get 2 more of them before he just gets disqualified from the race. Oh, Davey! Sorry to hear that. I was like, who was that who disappeared? I'm sure someone did. That's really unfortunate. So it looks like Friedman is round and just ahead of Peter by the looks of things. He is. The gap is just 1.6 seconds. He's actually pretty close to Capel now. So let's stick with this and see if Capel gives him a bit of a hard time for position. Capel obviously on a completely different strategy. I think he just went a bit wide on the exit to let Friedman through there, and then next up will be Peter fairly shortly to get a move done on that's not Capel. Who is it? It was a lapped car. Oh my god. Steetra in the pits now as well. Looks like Morrow is carrying on once again. His lead over Weston is nearly 7 seconds at the moment. Weston just ahead of Scanlon, so I think we might want to join this little battle for P2 as it stands. Scanlon making really good progress through the field. Much better race pace than qualifying pace tonight, it's got to be said. But yeah, he's driving pretty composed at the moment, Weston. He's only... Oh, one of those cars really struggled around that corner. I think it was a lapped car, though. So let's see, is Morrow going to come in the pits this lap, or is he going to carry on? He's still got loads of space in front of him to just keep pounding in the laps. Friedman is stuck behind Capel right now. Actually, Friedman's got past Capel. Peter's the next one for Capel. So let's see what Peter can do. Oh, there's another car off. It looks like that's a BMW. I think that's Coldman. Come on, let's see. Yeah. So unfortunate, dropping backwards at the moment. O'Leary and Fitter are now in the pits, both of the silver drivers. So Friedman's starting to create a bit of a gap now. Capel definitely holding up Peter. So this is crucial for Peter's race, that he gets past Capel really quickly, because he's already dropped a huge amount of time to Friedman. In this sector alone, he's lost 1.5 seconds. Oh, a little bit wide, almost on the grass, but Capel still has the position. Gap's going to be even bigger at the end of this lap. Unless Capel comes into the pits, that would be a lifesaver for Peter right now. Nope, he carries on. Right, where did Coldman come back out? Let's see. He's back out on track there, just behind another driver. I don't think he's going to still be 18th, surely. We just have to wait and see what happens when he crosses that sector. Down to... up to 17th. Okay, because some people went into the pits. So yeah, he has made his mandatory pit stop, and he is just a couple of seconds behind Kane. So he's still not out of it yet, despite having a really unfortunate time with drive-through penalties in this race. Cabras comes out behind Steenstra. He's 3 seconds behind Steenstra. Peter is still stuck behind Capel. The gap between Capel and Weston is now 2.6. Weston looks like he's come out of the pits and he's ahead of Peter. This is an absolute disaster for Peter, losing loads of time behind Capel now. Can't find a way around. That's just how difficult it is in Oulton Park, but Friedman managed to get past Capel pretty easily. Capel almost losing it on the exit there. This is the closest I think I've seen Peter so far. Maybe going to try and move into the final corner, into Lodge Corner. Tucks in behind again. Now is Capel going to pit this time and put him out of his misery? He does not. He carries on once again. So another lap of torture. He's lost positions here. Morrow's out and still ahead of Friedman. Let's see where he comes out. How many seconds is the gap between Morrow and Friedman right now? 2.6. So it's all to play for. Friedman did do pretty well through making that early pit stop. Weston up into 5th. That's a great outcome for him. Remember, Scanlon and him were very close together. Scanlon stayed out. Peter's come in, and he has right now just got past Capel, finally, just at the end of Sector 1 there. So he's finally got some clear air, but he's got 3.1 to Weston and 5.7 behind Friedman as it stands. Is a huge amount for him to make up. He's outside the podium positions, even if you account for the pit stops. He might Scanlon might end up staying ahead of him after he makes his stop as well. We've got Scanlon in the pits now. Let's see what happens between him and Morrow and Friedman, and crucially Weston as well. Another driver with a stop-go penalty. That's Alex again. 30-second stop-go penalty. So Scanlon's still in the pits. We've got Morrow crossing the line now. He's just 3.1 behind O'Morda, who stayed out longer than everyone else like we're expecting. Scanlon's still in the pits. Here's Weston coming through turn 1. So he seems to be comfortably ahead of Scanlon as it stands. Scanlon only just coming out of the pits now, so he's behind Weston, that's for sure. It looks like he's ahead of Steenstra and behind Peter. So not a good few laps for Scanlon. He's lost a lot of time to Weston. You're going to see him drop behind Weston now and Peter. So he's 1.6 behind, but his tyres are a little bit fresher than the rest of the field. So he's well set up for the rest of the race. This is a net P5 for Scanlon, so he's managed to take Steenstra in the pit sequence. Cabras is really doing well. He's up there. And then we have to see how these two shake out, Capel and Dandes in the top 10. Let's join O'Morda. O'Morda is our race leader, the guy who, well, the only person who hasn't made his mandatory pit stop yet, which is a ALR tradition at this point. Now let's see how much longer he waits. We're only 35 minutes in. He could go a lot longer, to be fair. Dandes having a very long pit stop. Now he comes out finally. Stop and go for... oh, that's still the same stop and go for Alex. And yeah, O'Morda's still carrying on. He's got a bit of space between him and the number 66 car, which is the next one for him to lap, who is Chaos. Let's have a little quick check-in of everyone who's a little bit further down. So Paul is currently in last place. He's 18 laps down, so I think he's probably given up. Cabras, the younger Cabras brother, is unfortunately down in 28th, not having the same luck as his teammate in this very tricky track. Blocker 27th. Oliver's had an absolute nightmare. He's also off the track, having another nightmare because he's down in 26th place. Really not a good week for Oliver. The worst one that I've commentated on, that's for sure. Archer still hasn't made his pit stop, but he's down in 25th at the moment. I don't know if he's made an error somewhere with his pit stops, because he must have come in Or maybe if it's just been to repair heavy damage. Spectre's not having the best race either, sliding around that corner there in the Ferrari. Maurer went into the pits lap 1, he's back in the pits with heavy damage. Then Chaos and Tierney is going to be in the top 20 at least when Alex makes her stop and go penalty. So, battle for P1 looks to be hotting up because Morrow and Friedman are pretty close together and they're not that far behind. Oh, well, I think they've both overtaken Omoda actually. So Morrow's now the leader of the race. I wonder what happened there. Maybe a mistake from Omoda because he is dropping quite quickly off the back of these guys. Maybe a sign that he does need to make his pit stop now. Looks like Friedman just got past Morrow. No, he didn't. Sorry, I've got deliveries confused. Professional commentating as ever. Right, but he is incredibly close. The gap is just 0.2 of a second. And yeah, he was giving Peter a lot of pressure earlier on in the race. He's going to have to do the same now with Morrow. I think maybe Friedman will be feeling he could be winning this race, but he's still stuck behind a driver for the lead. We'll stick with this battle, and as soon as we leave it, I'll miss the overtake, won't I? Looks like a really good power steer through the corner there for Friedman. Seems to be pretty close at the moment. Now we got 21 minutes of pressure probably here for Morrow. Morrow's been under pressure before. No, he hasn't. He's been on the other end. Remember Valencia? He was stuck behind Davey for the entire race, but now he's basically in the opposite situation. Has got car number 36 off track there. Car number 36 is Maurer. Again, he only just came out of the pits and he's parked up on the grass. Okay. Now they're approaching this lapped car pretty quickly. There's another driver off track at the exit there. And we've got an overtake for the lead. Overtaking this lapped car, the BMW. It looks like he's got the inside line Friedman into turn 1, Old Hall corner. He's going to get the position done. There's not going to be much of an opportunity for a cutback here from Morrow. That is a great overtake for the lead. And Friedman somehow is all of a sudden... It's looking very good for him. He made that... Well, he lost some time earlier that we didn't see. I'm going to assume it was from a mistake. He got a bit of damage on his car, on the front. He's pitted. He healed his damage. He got his mechanics on the job. Replaced that front bumper. And now he's hit the front of the race with 24 laps gone. He's already starting to gap Morrow now as well, so he was definitely being held up a little bit there. Heading into his laps. I'm expecting after we hit the second sector timer, this gap will be over a second now. And if it is, I think, barring any mistakes, this might be a one-way sprint to the finish. I wonder if he's Australian. He's got an Australian flag and a kangaroo on his car. The gap's only 0.7 actually. So Morrow's trying his best to stick in, but he definitely doesn't have the pace at this stage of the race. Omoda's still out. He's getting caught by Weston now. Is this going to be finally the time that he comes into the pits? He's definitely struggling for pace a little bit. He's going to back Weston and Peter, who's still in the hunt there. He's only half a second behind Weston as well. So this might start getting a little bit spicy as we see Friedman's actually extended his lead to the second that we were expecting it to be. Weston a little bit shaky at the on the exit of turn 1. Peter is trying to have a look and he's going for it. He's going for it. And it looks like a great overtake there from Peter. He got that position fairly comfortably from Weston. He's up into P4 and he's going to be chasing down Omoda now for that final spot on the podium. 7 seconds behind Morrow still, so it's not insurmountable, but he has to be putting in some qualifying laps for the rest of the race once he dispatches of Omoda, who's been a bit tricky to overtake. Omoda's usually, I'm not sure if it's because of how long the pit lane is or anything like that. It seems like a pretty short pit lane. But when he comes into the pits, he's still got a bit of a gap to a lot of the guys that would be battling him like this. Peter's really close. Looks like he pumps Omoda out of the way, and Omoda just completely backs off there, lets all three drivers go. That was a bit of an unfortunate coming together of drivers on very different pace, I think is the diplomatic way of describing it. So anyway, that puts Peter into third place. He's just ahead of Weston and Scanlon. Scanlon doing really well. He's got a great shout at a podium here, but he's got two drivers to overtake. He's stuck right behind Weston once again. So he had a bit of a gap when he came out of the pits, Weston on Scanlon, and that's completely disappeared. Omoda's still carrying on. This is a long time. This is a long time for Omoda to still be going. He's got 3.5 down to Steenstra anyway, who is just coming out of turn 1 now. Lovely, what colour purple is that? Oh, some dust kicked up there from somebody. Lilac? Let's call it lilac. And yeah, he's just about to lap this car. We've seen this. I think it's Maura's car. I'm not sure. Maybe it's TNE's. Getting lapped quite a lot. Let's see. Let's go down to TNE. I haven't seen any of him. Yeah, it is, and he's very, very battered and bruised as well. He needs to come into the pits this lap, I think. Actually, there's loads of cars that are battered and bruised. I think everyone's stuck in some dramas at the moment. There's another BMW there. It's that Major's in a lot of trouble as well with his BMW. So a lot of mistakes going on up and down the grid in this race, but yeah, it looks like Major doesn't have any interest in coming into the pits to fix that. Kind of a bit too late, I suppose. Where's Capel gone? Capel's still 10th. He's just putting some laps on these drivers that we were just watching. So he's done pretty well. Coldman, he's in the top 15. Remember, we said if he's in the top 15, he should be pretty proud with his performance. Despite his drive-throughs, he's still up there. So he can't have had too many mistakes otherwise. Meanwhile, Peter's still at the head of Weston and Scanlon. He's starting to drop Weston a little bit. Weston made a huge mistake there. Now Scanlon's going to have an opportunity going into Cascades. He's got the outside line. He's braked really late, but he doesn't have the camber on that corner to be able to put up a serious challenge, and Weston keeps that position fairly comfortably. So he survives another day, but they've lost 2 seconds now on Peter. Peter's 8.8 down on Morrow as well, so it's not looking good on catching P2 in the space of 15 minutes. You'd have to be about a couple of seconds a lap quicker at this point. Scanlon's having a look. He's having a little cheeky look at the inside of Weston, but he wasn't really close enough to make a move. Weston's just got to keep his composure now. He's going to be put under a lot of pressure, probably for the next 15 minutes, unless Scanlon makes a mistake. We don't see too many of them from Scanlon, though. He's actually doing pretty well in the standings. Let me have a quick look at the standings whilst we watch this. Where are we? Standings. People making jokes in Discord. Distracting me. So yeah, the top three currently. Well, Scanlon's third in the gold tier, so he's doing pretty well. He's only behind Regnix and Peter, who, well, Regnix isn't even racing today, so this is going to be his drop round for the season, and Peter is actually beating him, so this isn't great news for him. So, and yeah, Weatherston's also missing today. Andy Winters is in 5th, but he's only 9th right now, just completing his 28th lap there. No, I'm lying. That is not the standings. That was the results at the Kill Army. Oh god, reading's hard, guys. Peter is in the lead though, with Weatherston second, Regnix third, Morrow fourth, and Scanlon is fifth. So this is a great opportunity for Morrow to get into the top 3 in the standings. He's got a second, a third, and a seventh, and this is at the moment a second. 1.9 he's dropped off of Friedman, but this is still a very strong result. He's extended his gap on Peter to 9.2 as well. So he's actually lapping quicker than Peter. And yeah, Peter wanted me, oh no, I think Scanlon wanted me to give my pre-race prediction to the man in the lead. So maybe the fact that I didn't did the reverse jinx, and now he's winning. Scanlon's dropped off the back of Weston a little bit here as well, so he must have made a small error on that last lap. So yeah, that's how the gold tiers look. I'll tell you what silver looks like heading into here as well. We've got Fitterer in first place, and he's currently second in class, so pretty decent. Cabras is in second, and he's in first in class, so very consistent from these boys. We've got Tierney. Tierney's the one who we've been seen struggling. He's down in 20th at the moment, with his battered BMW that we've seen get lapped plenty of times. Paris is not actually racing tonight. He was in 4th place, so that's going to be his drop round. And then O'Leary is actually 3rd overall. He's in 5th place in class, so he's doing pretty good. He should improve, as there's another car off track. Just seeing loads and loads of cars struggling with that chicane. And then in bronze, well, Major's actually the leader, but he is down, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, actually, he's just moved up to, no, yeah, 4th in class. Don't know what happened there, but he's up into 17th overall. So not the best of outings for him. Then we got Dandis is winning. He's just a few points behind Major at the moment. Actually, the level on points on 54. So Dandis is going to have a big lead over Major. And then Fitzinho is going to still be in the hunt. He's probably going to overtake Major as well if he gets this net P2 in class. And Kane is a few points behind, so this is going to help him recover some points with his 3rd in class. The 3 of them all pretty close together on track, at least in position, if not lap time. What's Peter up to? Oh, something's happened. Who are we missing? Something's happened to Weston. Weston's dropped from 4th to 7th. He's 10 seconds off the back of Cabras, this says. That's crazy. Weston's had an incident. It looks like he's got a bit of a scuffed front of his car as well, and we missed it, unfortunately. I'm going to guess it's into that chicane where everyone's really struggled, that Hislop chicane. We've seen a lot of people go wide or forward or cutting the chicane. That's where my money's going on. So, yeah, unfortunate for Weston. I think we've seen this a couple of times this season. He's been right at the front, and then something happens, keeping that consistency for a full hour after the slogs of qualifying and then all the practice that you've done during the day, finding the right setup. It is a long slog, but yeah, this is the moment where it counts the most, right? Meanwhile, let's see what the gap at the front is looking like. Morrow is 2.4 seconds behind. I was literally just about to say he's kept the gap at under 2 seconds pretty well. But yeah, he's just made another mistake, I suppose, and lost half a second on Friedman there in this sector. Starting to lose a bit of ground to Peter as well, so definitely a little bit of an issue there for Morrow, losing a bit of time. About to come up to lap some BMWs. 31 laps in now. The gap 2.3 seconds between Friedman and Morrow. Definitely not over yet. Friedman still has to see it home. I think that's Fitterer with a bit of damage. No, it's not. Is it? Oh no. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, that was Fitterer who he just lapped. So everyone apart from the top 10 are on the lead lap. That's crazy. Huge gap in performance of these guys this week. Yeah, lots of good clean driving we've seen. Some good overtakes for the lead. I know people were saying that they didn't think that they were going to see any overtakes for the lead, but not for the lead, for position. And we've seen some, so it's quite nice. Not the worst track. Misano was excruciating for a lack of overtakes, that's for sure. I wouldn't recommend voting for that one, guys, if there's a vote to bring a track back. For my sanity, if anything. Scanlon's starting to close in on Peter now, so this good late race pace from Scanlon. Remember, he did pit slightly later than everyone, so maybe he's starting to really feel his car rub it in compared to Peter's. Peter's looking a little bit out of shape, going a bit defensive into these last couple of corners on the track. So, yeah, might have a battle for P3 on our hands after all. Weston clearing the way for Scanlon to just reel Peter in very quickly. They've got a lapped car to negotiate as well. Another BMW with a bust bonnet. And yeah, they both negotiate that lapped car pretty easily. The gap it increased by about half a second there between Peter and Scanlon, so a little bit more work for Scanlon to do. Got a bit of time before they reach the next car to lap, which looks like car 99. Actually, Fitterer. So they're about to lap Fitterer as well, the top four. Even though they're not a lot of positions away, there's a huge gap in cars at the moment. Coldman check. He's down in 16th at the moment. He's dropped a position on, well, somewhere along the lines. He's now behind all three of the podium sitters in bronze. If we're saying he's a silver driver, he kind of seems like a silver driver to me, then he'd be 4th in class, which isn't bad on his debut. Got a bit of a bust bonnet as well. 19-second gap. No. Let's see what the gap looks like when he hits the sector time here. 10 seconds to Kane. Right, a little bit further up. Looks like Scanlon's starting to drop off the back of Peter now. So Peter getting a bit, well, feeling a bit more comfortable in this sector. Well, these last couple of laps at least. He stretched the gap now to, it doesn't want to tell us, 1.6 seconds that is. So looking a bit more comfortable. The gap between Morrow and Friedman's down to 1.8 again. 1.7 now. So yeah, it's looking, this is going to be another really strong result for Morrow. He'll be pleased with his pace, but I think he'll be kicking himself for losing the lead like the way he did. Another solid race for Peter. Remember, Peter's winning the gold or the pro division in ALR. We've got like an overall one, which Rozhnov is winning because he's technically a reserve. He's not a gold driver, but also he's missing this race, so I think Peter might be able to. Could he take the lead? Potentially. I'm not sure. There's dropped points to consider, and the maths is not going to... I think he might not have enough yet, because Rozhnov does have 3 wins. If Rozhnov misses more races, then he's going to drop pretty far down the rankings, because he doesn't have a drop race anymore, essentially. Yeah, Morrow is slowly closing the gap on Friedman by about a 10th every few corners. Lots of drivers stuck in the pits right now. 1.4 is the gap. It's definitely not over. Friedman will be seeing that gap slowly reducing as well. You'll see Friedman Morrow slowly starting to appear as we saw Friedman slide through the cascades. And the gap is going to be, well, actually still 1.4 seconds. Again, he's sliding through the corners. So remember what we were saying about the Porsche. It gets a little bit more tricky to drive at the end of stints. And that is probably why we're seeing some sliding, and maybe why we're seeing the Ferrari, which is just a very stable car all round, slowly close the gap to Friedman. He's got only 4 minutes and 35 seconds, and then the rest of the lead lap to get an overtake done, though. So this is going to be... it'll go down to the wire, I think. We've not seen a race go all the way down to the wire like this in a few weeks, I don't think. It's going to be about if Friedman can maintain his composure, get a debut win in ALR. Had some issues, didn't qualify on pole. Impressed last week, ironically in a Porsche event, and he's the only one in the Porsche now. And he's beating the field. The gap down by another 10th by Morrow. Scanlon really close to the back of Peter as well, but we're going to stick with this lead battle. Saw Friedman kind of clatter the inside curb there, maybe taking a little bit too much curb on that last corner. The gap now is still 1.3. So very evenly matched, these two. Both will be focusing so hard not to be making any mistakes. Didn't take too much curb there. There's something flying all over the track. That'll be Capale knocking something. Wow, there's a lot of debris actually off track as well there. There's Capale, who they'll be lapping fairly shortly with the number 36 car. That's Maurer, who's going to be getting out the way once again. The gap down to 1.1 second in the battle for the lead. This is going to end up being influenced by how they negotiate these lapped cars. At the moment, there's enough of a gap between them that the lapped cars could slot in between and start causing more problems for Morrow. But if Morrow can catch another few tenths before Friedman can take Capale, Capale's likely to get out of the way of both of them at the same time, which will benefit Morrow. So this is the kind of... Oh, and that's Maurer off the track. He's just going to stay off the track now. Let them overtake. Looks like, yeah, Morrow overtook. It was very close, actually, between Morrow and Maurer. The gap has extended in Friedman's favour there to 1.3. There's still, he's still maybe a second off the back of Capale. Capale will be starting to get blue flags now, so he'll have to get out of the way at some point fairly soon, potentially waiting for the start-finish straight before he does it. Yeah, he looks like he's getting out of the way, I don't know. Difficult to predict with Capale. There we go, he is, but what's Morrow going to be doing? Is he going to be getting out of the way of Morrow? No, because there's quite a big gap. That 1.3 second gap remains. And Friedman loses pretty much no time behind Capale. Now, how is Morrow going to get past him? You hate this when you are being lapped, because you don't want to be losing any time, but this is like such an important battle, and you don't want to risk ruining it as well. Looks like Capale's getting out the way now as we head out of Sector 1. Morrow's actually gained time despite that on Friedman. So Friedman might have had a little bit of... a little mental block there, thinking, I've got a cushion now, Capale's in between us, and actually he's losing a bit of time. Morrow just needs to be absolutely on it. He's got 1 minute 30 left, so basically the rest of this lap and one more lap to try and catch Friedman and get the overtake done. It looks like a tall order, but let's see what he can do. The pressure's massively on Friedman not to make a single error as well. Let's see how he copes under pressure. Just a reminder, this is the end of round 5 that you're watching. Oulton Park, we only have 1 minute left before the end of the race. We've got 1.1 seconds separating the top two after 36 laps. Not the top two that I would have expected coming in, but yeah, definitely not a surprise seeing them. I thought Peter and Davey were going to be the ones to look out for, but this isn't where we are. Scanlon's dropped way off the back of Peter as well, so I don't know if it's his tyres or he's had a bit of an issue, but he's not challenging for a podium anymore. We have now started our final lap with Friedman and Morrow. The gap's still 1.2 seconds. It is starting to look a little bit desperate for Morrow. His situation is not looking too good. We saw Capale make a little mistake out of that corner. Let's have a look at what Friedman can do as we exit the Cascades and we go up Lakeside to finish Sector 1. Up into the hairpin. He's got 1.3 on Friedman now, so it's looking good. He's not going to catch another driver, I don't think, before the end of the race to lap, as long as that car ahead keeps his composure, basically. They all make the Hislop's chicane for the last time perfectly, and well, actually, that's where they're heading into now. That it was Britain's chicane, actually. So you got two chicanes in a row. Britain's followed by Hislop's. Now they're exiting onto Knickerbrook here. Little cambered corner downhill. It becomes uphill right here. And his lead is still 1.3 seconds. It's going to extend to 1.5. There's a car getting out of his way. I think it's all wrapped up, so it's going to look like a debut victory. He goes around Druid's corner for the final time. Looks like he's already caught another driver to lap. Let's see if he gets out of the way. Looks like he has got nice and out of the way as well. Last corner, Druid's corner, Lodge corner, sorry, up Deer Leap. And this is a debut victory. Very first race in ALR for Friedman. Another one to contend for race victories for the rest of the season. Great result for him. Morrow with a really solid P2 there. One of his best results in ALR. Peter, our pole sitter, should be pleased with the podium. I think maybe he'll be kicking himself for not finishing a little bit higher up, 11 seconds off the back of Mora in the end. Scanlon dropped right off the back at the end. Doesn't look like there's damage on his car, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Then we got Steenstra with a really solid P5. Worked his way up there quietly and just stayed there for the entire race, just ahead of Cabras, less than a second separating those two. Weston shoulda, woulda, coulda had a podium as well, but he will be settling for 7th place. Still a solid result. Not going to be one of his drop rounds by any stretch of the imagination. So solid for him. Andy Winters. Whoa! Someone's span out there. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, lapped car. 199. Car 199. That's Fitzinho kind of spinning there. I hope he didn't lose any positions because of that. But Andy Winters is going to come across and get 7th. Hopefully we don't see that in the stewards room later. Then the last driver on the lead lap is the guy, Mr. I'd stay out longer than you, O'Morda. Solid result, going to get in the top 10 again. Actually, half of the top 10 today are Ferraris, so maybe this is a Ferrari track. He's going to be the last one on the lead lap, ahead of Capel and Fitterer to round out the top 10. Fantastic result for Cabras there, 5th place in silver. Dandes wins bronze in 12th, just ahead of Fitzinho. Then we got Kane 3rd for bronze as well. So a really good oh, Coldman's gone into the pits. I don't know why. He hasn't hit the checkered flag, but I don't suppose it matters. He does get a top 15 in the end as well. And there is your finishing results. Let's have a look. Here we go. So, Friedman is your P1 ahead of Morrow, Peter, Scanlon, Steenstra, Cabras. Oh, okay. Some people have already left the lobby. It said Cabras was 5th. He's actually 6th in the end. Weston, Winters, O'Morda, and Capel are your top 10. Fitcher ended up 11th. O'Leary 12th. Dandes in 13th was the highest. Bronze driver ahead of Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Fitzpatrick is his name. I just call him Fitzinho so much that I thought that was his name. Coldman does get the top 15. That we said he could be proud with. He was 2 laps down in the end, in 15th. So yeah, probably silver driver pace. Yeah, if he didn't make mistakes, he'd be right up there, probably. If he didn't make the drive-through penalties. We got Kane, we got Fracas towards the end. Some really good races. People have already left, unfortunately. You see the handicap on the cars there as well. 15 handicap for Scanlon. That's crazy. So yeah, thanks for watching with me. That was a really good race actually at Oulton Park. Big fan of some of these really old British circuits. They always tend to produce good racing, even if people don't enjoy racing on them. So it's good for me. It's good for watching. Next week, I can't remember where we are. We got 3 rounds left. It's going to be a really tight one in all 3 championships, I think. It's quite topsy-turvy. So yeah, join me then and see how the rest of the season goes.